Well, folks, in today's video, we're going to be seeing if we can get this little Lima 040 Santa Fe steam locomotive running again. I picked this locomotive up off of eBay super cheap. It was in a lot of, I think about 5 other locomotives, and it was buy it now for a really low price, so I think I ultimately paid like $5 or something for this engine. Really not too expensive. Unfortunately, as I recall, this locomotive doesn't run whatsoever, which for the price really isn't surprising. These little Lima 040s don't tend to be the highest quality models out there. They're not great, honestly, but they're so simple, they're actually somewhat tough, so I'm pretty confident we'll be able to get this one running again. Clearly hasn't had the easiest life. It looks like somebody did a bit of spray painting on it by accident too, so we'll try to see if we can do anything about that. But in any case, we'll first of all just see if we can get the unit running again. I have no idea what's wrong with it, but we'll find out. Let's take it over to the track and test it. So we're just going to test this unit out a little bit. It's not a super complicated thing to do, but it will tell us a lot about what could be wrong with this engine. So I'm going to put 12 volts in the track, and we're not seeing anything from it. I'm not seeing any current draw, which means the engine isn't picking up power, at least not shorted or anything. It does seem like if I put a bit of weight on it, it does try to go a tiny bit. Yeah, I can definitely see the motor rotating in the cab a little bit there. I'm going to give it a little bit more power and see if we can get it to kind of turn over a little more. It's trying to go. You can see the wheels rotating just a little bit. I think this thing just either hasn't run in a really long time or all the contacts in the commutator are super dirty. But yeah, it's trying to kick. Well, let's take this thing over to the workbench and see if we can fix it. Alright, let's get started here. Let's open this thing up. I believe the first thing to do is just to remove this screw at the front. On most HO steam engines, this is really what holds the model together, so I think if we take this part out, the whole thing will probably open up. So let's try that. Yeah, lo and behold, there we are on the inside. Here's the motor. Just a little weight, nothing too complicated on these models. I think this is just a plastic cover. I don't know if there's a specific way to take that off. Oh, actually there's a little screw holding it on. I don't know if removing this is super important, but I'll try to do it anyway, I guess, just so we can have better access to the motor and everything else. So yeah, it appears we've got 2 screws right here. Those would cover up the motor. So if we remove those, hopefully what we can do is clean off the commutator. I have to be somewhat careful here because there are brushes which are spring-loaded. So when I remove this, I've just got to be careful not to accidentally lose those. But it should be okay. Oh, yeah, okay, so there we go. We can already see there the 2 brushes in the spring. So I'm just going to take all of those out so we hopefully won't lose them. That's something I seem to have a bit of a bad habit for. Alright, so what we see right here is the commutator. It really actually doesn't look all that bad. You can see the motor's turning freely. It is a tiny bit dirty though, so we'll clean that up and it should at least make whatever's going on a little bit better. I don't think this is necessarily the #1 source of whatever's preventing this thing from running though. Alright, the best part of just about every repair. Alright, that's definitely looking better, and heck, why don't we do the brushes too? That's looking better, and then the next one. And now that we've got all the parts cleaned up, we'll start reassembling the whole thing. We'll just drop a spring in each side here, and then we'll follow those up with their brushes, just like so. I lost a brush. going to attempt to just kind of get that around like so, and I think we've done it right. And we'll just get those screws back in. And maybe I'll apply power directly to the motor and just see how well it runs. It might just be all the other contacts which are preventing this thing from running, but in any case, just for general maintenance of a locomotive, it's always good to clean the commutator, especially just to check those gaps to make sure they're not full of carbon, because that can wreck motors over time, so it's really not something that you want, but shouldn't be a problem on this model. I think the coils looked pretty good on the motor too, which is a good sign. And before we go running stuff, I guess we'll put a bit of oil. Really careful on this side though, because the commutator's on the other side. I don't want the oil wicking through and getting on that. On this side, we'll just put some oil in a few spots here. The great thing about these old Limas is you can actually turn them, and you can see the oil spread out. So that should help reduce some friction. Now let's put some power on those leads. So we'll just put a wire under each of these leads here and give it some power, see if it will start up. I think it probably will. Oh yeah. Oh, this thing runs super well. Look at that. And here it's starting to rev up. Oh, the wire came undone. Yeah, this thing runs fine. We just need to clean a whole bunch of contacts and things like that. In fact, I think the most important thing might be the wheels. Those look really dirty on this. Yeah, because the electrical contacts are actually right here. You can see the sides of the wheel actually don't look all that dirty. So they may not be the problem. It could just be this thing has super dirty wheels, and that might have been what was preventing it from going. So yeah, I don't know. We'll throw some conductive lubricant on those. And we'll clean up the wheels, and maybe we'll see if it kicks. I'm also going to clean all this up because that does not look great. It looks like somebody actually threw some like grease on this part. Not great. Alright, so I cleaned all of this up a little bit and oiled it all. So we're now going to actually get around to cleaning the wheels. So we're just going to get that running, and with our fiberglass pencil, just let the wheels kind of clean themselves. So those are looking pretty shiny. I'm pretty confident at this point that we can reassemble this thing and take it over to the track just to test it out. So we'll, I guess, put the cab back on. I don't know if we can get this part back. We can probably get this part on first, actually. I might be better off. Oh no. The more I work on this thing, the more I think that I'm not the first person to have worked on it. This was clearly glued on at some point in the past. And here we go again. Alright, let's see if our efforts have paid off so far. Hey! Yeah, it looks like we've got a runner. Oh, that's nice. I would like to work on this paint and all this other stuff though. So let's get to that. I did not do a great job paying attention to this. I realized I got it backwards, so that's fun. So yeah, I'm going to take this off. I'm going to try to glue that part back on properly, and then I guess we'll just try to get it all back together again. And I also want to take care of that paint work because that's quite a mess. I think we'll be able to fix it though. Before I go gluing the parts back together, which are going to take a little bit of time to dry, I want to try to get rid of all of this old spray paint. Now, I don't really know the greatest way to take this stuff off other than trying to use some rubbing alcohol, which might actually strip the paint. But if I were to take a guess, the plastic itself is probably also black, so I don't think that doing this is going to really ruin it. Yeah, you can see it's definitely stripping the paint, but if we go at this long enough, it'll definitely get rid of those dots. And since we're, the plastic itself is the same color as the paint, I don't think it will really show. Alright, so it's now a while later. I got that part glued back on, and I got a pretty good portion of the paint removed. Unfortunately, the shell's not looking evenly glossy anymore, so I'm not sure how great of an improvement this necessarily is, but, well, I did what I can. Anyway, we're going to reassemble this thing, and then I think we'll take it for a final test run as about as complete as I got it. So, yeah, let's get this thing back together. Alright, well, here it is all set up on the track, ready to go, and I decided to hook up some freight cars just for kicks. Yeah, let's take this thing for a spin around the layout. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Of course, it's got a 3-pole motor, so it's quite fast. Not terribly realistic, but yeah, at least it seems to be running well. It's really all that matters. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, these 040s. Yeah, let's see what kind of low speed we got. It's not great, but again, 3-pole motor. But yeah, in any case, I'm very pleased with how this whole thing turned out. I mean, it was a dirt cheap engine, not in the greatest shape, and ultimately we managed to turn it back into a runner. So yeah, very happy with that. Anyways, with that, I'd like to thank you all so much for watching.